What are Crazy Camellya's biggest pros and cons? That's what I'm here to tell you today. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. We should begin by discussing how Camellya has some incredible account versatility. Essentially, when you pull for Camellya, you're covering multiple endgame modes at once. Her clears in the TOA are really solid. You'll find that she clears every reset quite well, and she can even perform in the ones that go against her quite strongly. Her damage is a couple of the likes of the esteemed Montelli Lady Carlotta or the Jinjo Magistrate Jinchi. However, despite this, she's still really strong in TOA, and you'll be very pleased if her clears there. But okay, let's say you already have TOA sorted out just fine. You have plenty of teams to tackle that mode. Well, can you say the same for Whimpering Wastes? That game mode was recently added in 2.1, so accounts that have really focused in on building around TOA might find themselves struggling the new, more AoE-centric mode. Characters that aren't particularly suited to Whiwa can indeed still clear it, of course, but you'd have to learn to adapt your playstyle accordingly. With Camellya around, well, now you're sorted for both endgame modes, because of how strong she is in Whiwa. You'd get insane bang for your Astrites, because of how universally she works. This makes her a fantastic all-rounder for any account, because she can take care of all resetting in-game. I will say, she's gonna be awkward in holograms. This is because of how easily she can be interrupted, but we'll touch on that more a little later. Know that this crazy lady is more well-suited to the regularly resetting in-game modes, which is still a huge win considering that's where you'll get the bulk of your in-game Astrite rewards. The fact that she's so versatile makes her a no-brainer pull for anybody that's just starting to look into who to pull to tackle endgame effectively. This fantastic quality of hers is only going to continue to serve her well in the future. It's very difficult to turn Camellya into a totally irrelevant unit. We should talk more about how straightforward she makes Whimpering Wastes. So that game mode loves one thing primarily, AoE attacks, and Camellya's red hair mode is absolutely perfect for disposing of large trash mob waves all at once. I should also mention how excellent she is in multi-wave. This is another key point as to why she's so amazing in this game mode. Multi-wave nonsense can throw off a whole lot of characters in this mode. If you're a unit that's more accustomed to dealing large blasts of damage at once, such as Jinchi, then you're going to have to adapt to unique rotations to deal with the setup of Whiwa. However, Camellya's playstyle is perfect for this game mode. Her red hair mode was built for taking on these heavily AoE scenarios, and her abilities work perfectly in multi-wave. There's no need to really play her any differently than you normally would too, making her one of the easiest characters to use in Whimpering Wastes. Compare that to the Brant-Changli duo. Those two are amazing in Whiwa, but you want to make sure that the pair are constantly covering for each other's damage downtimes, whereas with the Crazy Lady, it's as simple as keeping her spinning. Your time with this game mode is going to be a whole lot better with Camellya around. Her nuke also has quite a nice radius, so if you're having trouble with enemies wandering away from you because they feel like it, then she'll be able to blast those enemies down as well. Even if you're not a very good player, you should easily be able to get 2.25k points on the half where you use Camellya. This is all assuming that you're using Sanhua, by the way. You don't even need to pull Ferocia in order to get these brilliant quality clears. However, if you're one of the two people that did pull Ferocia, then happy days. Because those two being paired together in this game mode are genuinely nuts, due to how good they are at handling large AoE enemy waves. But even just buffing up her damage of Sanhua so that she can mow down enemies is genuinely more than enough to clear. If you're having trouble with AoE content in general, then this insane lady is the way to go. Next up, we have to yap about her free-to-play friendliness. This is because of how cheap some of her best teams are. Yes, she does indeed have a premium support option in Roshia, but let's not lie to ourselves here. Very few people pulled for that character. So if you're in such a situation, who do you use? Well, Sanhua has an outro skill which provides a whopping 38% basic damage boost. This makes her a prime teammate for Camellya, considering that so much of her primary damage output comes from basics. Sanhua is a completely free unit that everybody obtains over the course of playing the game, so that means you'll immediately have access to one of the Crazy Lady's best synergies upon pulling for her. Verena is still freely selectable from the selector if it's in the mail up until the anniversary, or can be selected on the beginner's banner. And then you have Baichi, who's also free. That way, you can easily form a team of Camellya, Sanhua, and either Verena or Baichi if you're somebody that's just starting out, or if you're free to play that doesn't have access to various 5-star supports. The fact that Sanhua is one of her best teammates is what really sweetens the deal in my opinion. You don't really feel like you're missing out much by not having Roshia, because the bodyguard of Jinjo's Magistrate is all you really need. This is somewhat of a double-edged sword, because in turn, this means that Camellya's true best installed support is really mid, and isn't worth the pulls due to how Sanhua destroys any need for her. However, I ultimately consider this to be a good thing, because it means that you're able to get close to Camellya's top potential performance even when using a completely free character. But let's say that your Sanhua's busy. What then? Well, she has other options in the form of Donjin. Two crazy ladies in one team, what could get any better than that? The Bloodthirsty one has an outro skill which is able to benefit the flower-enjoying one, making them a pretty good pair. Donjin's S6 can also buff attack percent for the entire team. I'll say that yes, Sanhua is obviously going to be better here, but this is still a really efficient way to free up your Magistrate's bodyguard for other teams instead. For example, Phoebe teams. Cantarella will also be able to act as a replacement, but I don't like suggesting her as much, because all you're really providing your Camellya with is some Havoc percent on outro. That's still valuable, of course, but it's nothing that Donjin can't do already. Not to mention how the skill percent is wasted on the flowery crazy lady. But with that being said, it's still a perfectly viable way to release your Sanhua from duty, thus making vigor management far easier. Also, while this particular aspect of her free-to-play friendliness only applies to players that have been around since version 1.4, she's one of the few main DPS characters that doesn't absolutely beg for you to pull their signature weapon. While Red Spring is 100% a worthwhile pull for Camellya, even if you have the weapon that I'm about to talk about, it makes the barrier to entry for her even lower. Somnoir Anchor was a free event sword given out in Wuthering Waves 1.4 through the main event. It's a very good alternative for all those of you who skipped Camellya on her first banner, but did indeed play to get the sword, and may be considering pulling for her now. Red Spring is obviously kilometers better than Somnoir Anchor, but the fact that it's a great free-to-play option still remains. Of course, the player base is essentially at least doubled since version 2.0's debut, so sadly, not everyone will be able to take advantage of that. Hopefully Kura will eventually add an easy way for people to attain old event weapons that they missed out on, along with their refinements, so that it's not permanently locked into only being for older players. I'd say that she's still super free-to-play friendly though. Emerald of Genesis is extremely good on Camellya, like it's barely that much worse than her signature weapon. Yes, it's still a good chunk behind, but considering how signature-reliant most characters in Wuthering Waves are, this crazy lady honestly has one of the smaller gaps. It's a perfect balance. The upgrade is significant enough for huge Camellya fans to chase after it, but if you just want to get her cooking for endgame clears, then Emerald of Genesis or Somnoir Anchor is more than enough. And remember, if you didn't pick EOG as your free standard 5-star weapon, then you're always able to choose it on the standard weapon banner. So anybody will be able to make her work well. No matter what investment level your account is at, Camellya will be easily buildable. We absolutely have to yap about her ease of use as well. This character is really hard to mess up. You quite literally just enter her skill state, hold down the normal attack button, do her big nukes, and then do some more spinning. This is genuinely one of the most foolproof playstyles in all of Wuthering Waves. That's not even mentioning how her entire rotation is easy. Sanhua gameplay is also really difficult to mess up once you get the hang of it, and she has almost zero field time. If you're a hyper-casual player that wants a really simple character to play, then look no further than this absolutely crazy lady. It doesn't matter what game mode that you play her in, she's gonna end up feeling very easy to use. You don't have to adapt her gameplay whatsoever. Some characters such as Jinchi and Phoebe have great ease of use, but compared to Camellya, they may as well be the most difficult units in the entire game, because her gameplay is as basic as it gets. I would say that this is somewhat of a flaw too. If you really enjoy dynamic gameplay, then please make sure that you trial Camellya extensively to figure out whether her gameplay is actually for you or not. While that point isn't strictly meta-related, I bring it up because I personally find her gameplay to be a bit stiff. Though I'm a quick swap enjoyer, if you prefer more straightforward gameplay, then this most likely won't be an issue for you whatsoever. I should also bring up how Camellya has some of the best sequences in the game. The only other characters that match her sequence notes in value are Jinchi and Shorekeeper. Otherwise, you get insane bang for your Astrites or Corals when it comes to Camellya copies. Sequences and Wuthering Waves tend to be neat little bonuses more than anything else. And while this unit is 100% a complete character down at S0, you'll find that investing in her more is not a bad choice whatsoever. Her S1 provides her with some valuable crit damage that'll last a good amount of time, weaving very naturally into her rotation, and her S2 makes her skill nuke kaboom the entire stage even harder. It's not a bad investment by any means, so an excellent choice when it comes to high Astrites based investment. I will say this, get S2 R1 on Camellya before even remotely considering getting Roshia copies. You benefit way more from getting the Crazy Lady's S1 to 6 all the way through than even getting a singular copy of the Clown Kid. But I will say that if you go up to S2, then fine. You can start to consider Roshia for her. Just a word of advice to anybody that's looking to absolutely min-max their Crazy Lady. And now we should discuss the flaws that she carries. One of these would be her movement restrictions during her red hair mode. Now, yes, you're able to use white hair mode against boss targets very effectively, but if you're trying to dumb down her gameplay as much as possible, then you just use a red hair mode against everything because it's perfectly serviceable against all enemy types in the game. This movement restrictiveness in a red hair mode is annoying, because it makes it more difficult to chase after enemies like the Thundering Mephits who move around the arena a lot. You're still able to dodge while she's in red hair mode, of course, but moving around still feels a bit stiff and awkward. This means that she lends herself far better to more stationary enemies. This isn't really an issue if you're willing to take advantage of her white hair mode, but otherwise, this is a pretty annoying aspect of her gameplay that crops up pretty often, considering how bosses in this game aren't all that stationary. Don't get me wrong, she can still clear chambers that feature heavily moving enemies just fine, but it's gonna feel more annoying to do so. This restrictiveness can also lead her to getting interrupted easily. She's not immune to getting knocked out of her normal attack spinny state, and she can even get knocked out of her skill nukes. It's nowhere near as bad as Brant getting knocked out of his abilities, but it's definitely still a prevalent annoyance. Annoyance mentioned? This is what makes her such a brick in holograms. She's so easily interrupted there because bosses move at such an intense pace. Genuinely, good luck trying to fight freaking Sentry Construct 6 using Camellya. You're gonna hate yourself afterwards. Even if you use wet hair mode, you're still able to get easily interrupted during her spinning and skill nukes. I will say that the first time I cleared Sentry 6 was when I used Brant and Chang-Li, and Brant did carry the run, so it's not like easily interruptible characters absolutely cannot clear holograms whatsoever, but it will be a more irritable task. Camellya is still a really good pull these days in my opinion. Her playstyle won't be for everyone, so make sure that you're 100% on board with it before taking the plunge and pulling for her. She's a very strong character, and she's only aged better and better as time has gone on. She's a great first 5-star DPS, and seasoned players will still find value out of her. Hologram players are the only ones that I'd say should be a bit more skeptical when it comes to pulling for her, but either way, a great pull to make. Not one that I prioritize over Shorekeeper though. Get her first if you don't have Shorekeeper. But what do you think about Camellya? Are you going for her, or is it a total skip? Let me know down below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZ content. I swear I will upload soon. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturday, starting from 3 PM UK time. Come along so we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to tell you Camellya's biggest pros and cons. This has been Juice, signing out. It feels like Kuro was really building up their roster of crazy ladies, huh?